Welcome, everybody, to another Get Off My Lawn podcast. It is Thursday night at 8 o'clock Central Time. Might be a couple minutes late, but that's not important right now. And because I always forget to do this, if you're watching live, you know what day it is. It is Thursday, August 19th, 2021. So trying to remember moving forward to put the date on these so people, when you listen later or you find these later on, you know when it is that we are having these discussions. So, oh shoot, he was just here. It was funny, right before we went live, somebody mentioned, I'm surprised Pat's not here. And then he was there in the green room and now he's gone again. We were going to put him up on the screen too. Hopefully Pat's back here before too long.
Has begun.
Yeah, real quick here. We've got a few things, of course, that we like to mention and take care of before we get rolling. If you are out there watching live, we would like to know that you're there. So please make sure you are dropping those comments in the chat section, whether that is on Sam, I see your question. I'll get there in a second. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, either one, make sure you are dropping those comments over there in the chat section, and we will see those as they come through live. And if you have a question or a comment that pertains to what we're discussing at the time, then we can put that up on the screen and you can take part in our discussion, even if you are not one of the panelists. So we've got a couple people on our panel. We'll get to introductions here in just a second. We do also want to again mention, like we do every week, that we're very proud to be part of the Self-Defense Radio Network. You can find this podcast along with a whole bunch of really good ones over there at sdrn.us is the place to find those. You can find great stuff like Armed Lutheran Radio, Unload and Show Clear is on there, Riding Shotgun with Charlie, Gun Freedom Radio with Cheryl and Danny Todd. So many great ones. The Locked and Loaded Latinos and Ghost Tactical's on there now with the Armed Citizen, I believe, too. So they're adding new ones all the time, and I lose track. So you need to go and see who all is on there and get the audio versions of those podcasts. Am I coming through just a little too strong now, guys?
There's a little bit of kind of, when you speak with your voice raised a bit, that kind of warbles out. It's like, ooh.
That's kind of what I thought I heard coming through my side too. So I will dial back the gain just a tad, and hopefully I'll get this set and know where to leave it on this new microphone. Speaking of which, thank you Patreon patrons for your patronage. You helped pay for this new microphone, and hopefully it works a little better than my last one. That nothing wrong with the brand or the model. It was my own fault for putting a short in the charge port, the USB port. So that was my fault. But either way, it needed to be replaced. So thanks to the patrons, we were able to do that. So I appreciate your support. And also, speaking of support, if you want to get some cool swag, you can get the Sandhills shooter while it lasts. The Sandhills shooter hats, stickers. You can get the Sandhills Sweetheart green ribbon that says "Not Today Cancer" or "Her Fight is My Fight." You can get it on the coffee cup. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts for men and women, all kinds of cool stuff. And we're still working on getting some more designs out there and getting the Sandhills Media stuff out there next with some cool new stuff. So all right, that will be more to come on that. Real quick here, we'll just let our panelists introduce themselves. And hopefully we get Pat back in here. I'm not sure where he went, but I don't see him. So real quick, we will just say hello to our two esteemed colleagues from both of them living in the capital city right now. Neither one of them from there, but that's where they live now. So Travis P11 on the top right of our screen. What's up, sir?
Not much, man. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Trying to fight off a head cold, a sinus infection.
Ooh, okay.
So.
Okay.
I think that my voice is doing pretty well. I did some drugs, some Dayquil here a little while ago. They've got a new Dayquil Severe with some honey in it. And I tell you what, it tastes just as crappy as regular Dayquil does.
Oh,
exactly what it tasted like. Dayquil that I don't know. I didn't notice the
stuff is pretty nasty. It's kind of like Jägermeister.
Yeah. You know, Oh yeah, I don't like that stuff either. But I'm doing okay now, and if my voice starts to go, then we'll either wrap stuff up or we'll have one of you two just take the baton and run.
Oh
So
man, that's a lot of pressure, dude.
yeah, I know. Glad you're here.
All
All right. Also coming from the capital city to us live. Is it live or is it Memorex? I'm not sure, but it's Defense Dad either way.
Yo, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. All right, and I have a stack of Kleenexes for when my nose starts to run away with me. I've got some they're not actually like cough drops, but they're just the Ludens. Basically, all they do is they keep your mouth moist and makes it a little bit easier to talk, so I don't get too dried out. And instead of sipping the water or doing the dew tonight, we've got the Husker Cup with some OJ going tonight. So we're getting some vitamin C, all kinds of good stuff happening tonight. So, okay, before we get rolling, who do we have out there in the chat section? On the YouTube side, Guns and Barbecue is the first thumb and the first comment. Gun Loving Grandpa is out there. I know a week or two ago I called you Stan. I know your name's Buck, but it used to be Gun Loving Grandpa Stan, and that dropped off of there. So I just want everybody to know that I do know who Gun Loving Grandpa really is. Sam Wolf is out there. Sam of Anarchy 92. He had a question. Where was your question? Why don't I ever do this from the lawn? Because this desk, my computer, my desktop, this microphone, it's too much to lug out to the lawn. And I don't know if you've been to Nebraska in August, but it sucks outside right now. And we don't want a whole chat where John just melts when it's this hot and humid. I'm just a nasty mess. So nobody wants that. Nobody wants to watch that. That's the biggest reason, Sam. Tacos and French fries is out there. Keith Gregory's in the house. Defense Dad there and here. Who else is on the YouTube's Carolina EDC reviews? The Tactical Rooster, Gizzard Gary. And then on Facebook, I can see Jeff and Chris and some Shane guy that we don't know who that is, but he's out there, so we'll say hi to him. Shooting Money 101. I don't know that name. Is that somebody that we know, or are you a new viewer, Shooting Money 101? And then everybody's favorite, Mr. Taurus, Clint Taurus. And if you say it fast, you'll know why I didn't. So, all right, we've got, there he is, coming to us, Pat in a bunker. What's up?
Oh, not much. Just had to run out and check a pivot. Tried checking in about like 5 minutes ago, but needed to go run and check on some pivots real quick. So,
well, yeah, I saw that you were there and then you were gone, and I thought, well, what the heck? Hopefully you'll be back. So here you are. Glad to have you. This is like an all Nebraska panel so far tonight. So if you guys don't want, and if Squib's out there listening, if you don't want Squib to have to listen to an all Nebraska chat, then somebody should that got a link should jump in here and help us talk about this.
Well, then Squib could just come in himself.
Well, he could, but maybe he's busy at work and can't. So we'll see. But a lot of people got links, so we'll see what's up. All right. And I think that's it. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff. Oh, almost all. We are live on multiple places, like I mentioned, YouTube and Facebook. In fact, we're on 2 different Facebook pages, but one of them I haven't even made people aware that it's there yet because I haven't had time to do anything with it since I built it. But there is a Facebook page that is called Get Off My Lawn. And it's not the group, but they won't let me put an exclamation mark in the name of it. But the picture, the banner is the same Get Off My Lawn podcast picture that you see for thumbnails on these. So we are going live onto those moving forward as well. Hopefully we can log those in 2 different places. And if Facebook ever gets mad at me, we'll see if I lose all of that or not. So anyway, that's only possible because of our sponsors giving us the pro version of our StreamYard program that we come live through every night. So today's show is brought to you by Garrett Keel at Open Country Firearms in Osmond, Nebraska. Garrett's goal with Open Country was to create a great storefront and assist responsible gun owners in new and used purchases, custom orders, transfers, and more. He's always been an advocate for the Second Amendment and thought opening his own gun store would be an excellent way to help shooters get what they want and connect with new people. Call Garrett at 402-841-0970. Let's put that up on the screen. 402-841-0970 or visit opencountryfirearms.com for some of the best deals on new and used firearms, ammunition, and now suppressors, and tell them we sent you. So thanks, Garrett. Thanks, Open Country Firearms. There's their logo right back here and right here. So for helping us out so we could go live to multiple places tonight and people on Facebook and YouTube could watch us. So if you are catching this on the replay, please leave a comment down in the comment section, not the live chat. Obviously, you won't be able to in the replay section or part, but make sure you're leaving comments. We want your feedback. This is kind of I think going to be a fun topic tonight. And so I'm hoping for a lot of comments in the live chat. I'm hoping for a lot of comments after the fact too. And I'm hoping that we make people think a little bit. And I'm really hoping that you'll see fit to share this with everybody, either right now, tell all your friends to come watch live with you. Excuse me, but even on the replay, hopefully that you like this enough to share the link with everybody and say, hey, watch this. These guys actually made some sense tonight. Excuse me. So, okay. Tonight's topic, we're going to talk about how the issue is never the issue. And I don't see any reason why we have to really go around the horn for any of our discussion tonight. We'll just kind of make this just four guys talking here. But I want to throw out like lots of different examples of things that people are arguing about right now. And it's not all gun stuff, but I mean, the first and the broadest part of what I mean by the issue is never the issue. Because if you've ever been around psychology or counseling on either end, or just know somebody that has, two people go in for marriage counseling, say, and, they're complaining that, that she's always grumpy and he's never around. Well, whatever they first say is the issue, the counselor knows that's not the real issue. And it's the counselor's job to dig in and find out the real issue, because typically what people describe as the first issue is a symptom, not the sickness, right? So you go into the doctor because your elbow hurts, or in my case, pain all the way down my arm. Well, that wasn't the issue. The issue was a bulged disc in my neck, and they took that out and fused the bones, and the pain was gone too when they fixed the real issue. So the reason we're talking about that tonight is because in the gun debate, the gun debate is not about guns, and anybody that thinks it is just doesn't get it. That is what I see though from so many people on the side of the gun debate that isn't my side, the other side. If there were only two sides, that may be oversimplifying things, but for tonight, that's what we're going to do. The gun debate's never been about the guns. So it doesn't matter if you're trying to ban only one specific model or only one specific feature or only one specific accessory. It's not about that. It's about the principle of giving up an inch and losing a mile. It's about the principle of, if you take away this today, what are you going to come back and ask for tomorrow? Right? So when people get upset about magazine capacity limits or so-called assault weapons bans, it's not because necessarily we have any desire to own a bunch of 30, 40, 50, 100 round capacity magazines, or it's not necessarily because we want to go buy an AR-15 pattern or AK-47 pattern rifle. But the real debate or the real issue with trying to ban those is, again, I know people throw around the slippery slope, but what that means is you can really slide very far off to the side of what you originally meant to do on a slippery slope. And so the issue that we have is not about that gun. It's about knowing that eventually such a thing can lead to every gun, and then we're screwed. So, I mean, we could talk about specific things that are going down right now. We could talk about bump stocks. The bump stock issue was never about the bump stock. I think they're stupid too. But I tell you what, I made the comment so that it would be on record that I did not approve of a ban of the bump stock, because again, that it's not the ATF's place to determine what is and is not a machine gun. The NFA did that. Congress did that. Didn't think it was their place either, but it was before my time. They didn't ask me. So just when it comes to gun stuff, either in general or specifically, I mean, what are some of the things that you guys think of when I say the issue is not the issue, and people are like, why are you getting upset over this little thing? But it's not the little thing that upsets us, right? So what do you guys think of when you hear something like that said?
Well, I'll just come out and say there's a lot of ignorance about it from the non-gun owner standpoint. And I can speak to that wholeheartedly because it wasn't too long ago that I was kind of in that group, because I'm newer to this than most of you guys, right? So it wasn't too long ago. I was like, well, I'm going to get my first gun, but I'm not going to get an AR. I'm not going to be one of those guys. Or, it's just certain things. Well, who cares if they take away their piece of plastic? They can still have the gun. And there's a lot of people out there who don't, they don't follow this stuff as closely as we do, as I do now. And they really don't realize it's not about the gun, or it's not about the accessory. It's about the control that they want over people.
Right.
Because if you said if they, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. What the other side of the debate doesn't realize, it's about the control. It's if you let them take the bump stocks again, or if you let them take the pistol braces, they're going to do that, and they're going to, okay. And then next it's going to come back. No, you can't have an SBR even if you pay the NFA fee. No, we just can't have ARs. Period. I mean, if we let them do it, then we'll be reduced to single shot shotguns or something. It's all about let's dig, and let them get used to that before we come take something else. And you got to fight it, because they're going to come take away your rights altogether if you let them.
No, exactly right. I should have
another part of it too is it's not just me giving up that feature. It's just you getting what you want, which again, like echoing what Defense Dad said, it's just about you having the control, which is what you want in the end,
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I'm
yeah.
Also, so recently, a good friend of mine, she's excited. She's getting her first AR, and I'm helping her doing it. And realistically, an AR pistol would fit her better for what she wants to do in her size and everything. But I was like, well, okay, but you're probably safer legally having a rifle, because there's less chance they're going to get those taken away eventually. Because she's concerned. She's like, well, what if I build this thing and then 6 months down the road I can't have it? Well, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be that chance, but you're a little safer having a rifle now. So that's influenced her decision. She's 5'6" or 5'7", 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, having her have a pistol would be a better option for her. But because of those factors, I have advised her to get a rifle. And it's the things they're trying to take away from us is influencing those decisions. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm proud of her. She's finally getting her first rifle. But the crap that's going on has influenced that decision.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, ultimately, I think we could all agree that in that particular case, there's, I know what they say about shouldering the pistol brace. So, I mean, I agree with what they're talking about now. They've completely muddied up the waters, and I believe 100% that was intentional. But the fact that she can, without any worry, shoulder the rifle, I mean, that's probably going to be the better thing anyway. I know that some people have a harder time maybe holding up the forend, and that just comes down to strength and conditioning. You just need to build those arm muscles up a little bit so you don't have to do the arching of the back like you see in so many pictures of people that haven't been shooting much, trying to hold that muzzle up there. Well, lean into it, just get your arm strong enough to hold it up, and it won't be a problem anymore. That just takes a little commitment. So we've got Gary with us too. What's up from Kansas, Mr. Gary?
Hey, not a whole lot. Thanks for having me. I just been out here watching this, and I got to thinking there's way too much Nebraska on this screen. We got to have some outside influence here.
There is no such thing as too much Nebraska.
Kansas, the land of freedom.
Well,
Yeah, let me tell you what real freedom is like.
No kidding.
Isn't Kansas basically Nebraska, but there's more wheat than corn? I mean,
Yeah,
And
pretty
put it
much.
this story.
Soybeans.
It's Nebraska if Nebraskans could carry without a permit. So
Yeah.
That pretty much sums it up. Gary, you look
Nice.
like us, you sound like us, Spacey. You're just another Nebraskan, but you just want to admit it.
yeah, you got to get further south before you sound like an Oklahoman.
Yeah, we're next door neighbors. I mean, same kind of people, same thoughts and everything else, pretty much.
Yeah.
Except for football, but we'll talk about that later.
Hey,
Now,
it might not be too long before we're conference rivals again.
Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
hear.
at this rate, we'll probably all have to go play for the team.
There's the by next year the Big Ten's going to have about 35 teams in it. It seems like so. Anyway, we'll talk about football on a different night because it's just depressing when you're a Husker fan lately. So we don't get me started. Nobody wants to watch me cry on this thing. So Gary, what are your thoughts when I say that the issue's not the issue? What does that bring to mind as far as some of the issues that people bring up that really aren't the real issue?
Well, I was listening to what Defense Dad was saying, and a lot of it rings true with me too. I've got a very similar background in that I'm only 6 years and a little bit of change into this, into this society, if you will. And yeah, the fact is, until you've actually been in this genre, until you've actually owned some of these guns or shot some of these guns, you don't really understand a lot of the feelings that go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody wants to have those experiences, or at least a lot of us do. And just the fact that somebody would stand outside and say, no, you can't have that, it doesn't, it kind of leaves a bad taste in the mouth and stuff like that. I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean, yes, we don't want restricted, period. But the idea that somebody who has no idea what gun ownership, responsible gun ownership, mind you, is about, would sit and make decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're holding this rifle, and it's like, if this barrel is half an inch shorter, you would be in federal prison, or if this stock is an inch shorter, you'd need a $200 tax stamp to own it and stuff like that. Once you're into the game, it just seems silly.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't understand. So, yeah, I totally understand the theme of the show.
Well, and you hit it right on the head there too. It's as much, I mean, for me, one of the real issues is who it is that thinks that it's their place to tell me how, when, or even if I can defend myself should the need arise. And when you say it like that, I don't know anybody that would disagree with the way I feel about it, the way I think about it. It's nobody's business but my own how, when, or if I defend my life should the need arise to defend my life. I mean, plain and simple. I don't know anybody who's anti-gun that would argue with that part of the point. But then they'll turn around and say, well, I agree, but I think you shouldn't be able to do it with one of these. Well, then you do. You do want to tell me how, when, and if I can defend myself because you want to dictate how. So, but 100% agree with what you said, Gary. We keep hearing all the time that if you don't have a uterus, you don't have a say in the women's health, reproductive health, ultimately the abortion debate. We hear that all the time. And I most certainly do have a say in the debate, and I don't have a uterus. But I am the product of an adoption. I was given up by my biological mother. I'm younger than Roe versus Wade. She could just have easily, legally have terminated that pregnancy, but she didn't. And I'm very thankful for that. And so I do take it personally, and I don't let anybody tell me that I don't have a voice in that discussion. But if that's the case, if you didn't have a uterus, you wouldn't have a say so. Then if you don't own a gun, you don't have a say so either. So, and we could take that one step further and say, if you own a gun, but you don't ever use it, then you don't count. Your argument is invalid because you bought a gun just to say you have a voice. So, but even at that, buying a gun, you do learn sometimes that, or I shouldn't say you, the word I should use is people sometimes do learn it's not as easy as they had thought it was. It's not as easy as the news told them it was. It's not as easy as Barack Obama said it was. It's much easier to get a library card, trust me. So, no, I like what you said there, Gary. Anybody else have anything they want to add to the people that are deciding that they're the ones in control and that they should have the power to dictate that?
Yeah.
No, I'll go ahead. Pat, go ahead, bud. Yep.
Okay, one of you
All
go.
right,
Pat, go.
All right, go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, it's just a fundamental right to live. I mean, somebody telling me that I cannot defend my life if I have to in a dire situation without any other without a tool that they see fit. So if I want to defend my life and I want to use the tool that I want to use because it suits me the best, that I know how to manipulate it, I know how to work it, I've trained with it, I've practiced with it, then they have no argument as far as I'm concerned, because that is the tool that I have picked, that I am using to hopefully never use. Hopefully, and I just want to get this point across. I hope I never have to shoot at anybody or defend myself and take another life to defend my own. But if it boils down to it, if somebody's threatening my life and it's me versus them, I'm picking me. That's
Yeah.
that's just survival in its purest essence right there.
Yep, exactly right. Okay, Travis, what were you going to say?
Just, and then when that attitude of, well, you don't need this or you don't need that, once that starts to build popularity, then we see the things that we deal with right now, which is media, social media, telling us what we should do and shouldn't do. And if we want to post our side on things, and we get restricted, and basically leads us to the struggle we're at right now. And that's scary, because we don't need to become one of those countries where you don't have a right to defend yourself. Because I hear about that, and I can't even fathom that idea, living in a place where if you do something to defend yourself, you could go to jail. I don't get it.
Like the most recent example I can think of is in the very you wouldn't think of this as a dictatorial country, but it's turning into one. It's Australia, where they've got COVID marshals.
Exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
COVID marshals running around checking to see if you've been vaccinated or if you're sick, telling you to stay in your house. Now they have helicopters flying around with loudspeakers saying, don't go out of your house. We've got the it's a different country, I know, but the New Zealand Prime Minister saying, don't go outside, don't talk to your neighbor, don't get out of your bubble. Was it the Australian Prime Minister that said you can't take your mask down to take a drink? So they don't have to shut the bars down if they don't let anybody drink. So I don't know how you're supposed to drink with your mask up, but I guess with a straw. I don't know how that's supposed to work. But I mean, who is anybody to tell me that I can't take a drink or that I can't talk to my neighbor, especially if my neighbor wants to talk to me too? I mean, it's not like I'm going to go into my neighbor's house unwelcome. No, but if you're by the back fence, or in my case, there's not even a fence. It's just a kind of a pre-agreed upon spot where we both mow up to. I can talk to my neighbor if I want to. He's a nice guy. And so I would definitely rail against such a thing if that was being done here. But then I turn around and I see that New York City, the mayor of New York City, de Blasio, has now said that if you want to go into a building, you have to be vaccinated. No exceptions. Even if you have a medical exemption or anything like that, doesn't matter. No exceptions. If you want to go into that building, you have to get the vaccination first. You have to bring your vaccination card and an ID, which I found very racist, because not everybody can have an ID. Not everybody knows how to get one or can get to the DMV. But yet that means that that only the white people are going to be able to go into buildings, and they've kind of reinstituted Jim Crow in a way, if you think about it in those terms. Now, I don't actually think it's Jim Crow, and I don't think only the white people should be able to go in there, but those aren't my words. Somebody else entirely said that the minorities can't get photo IDs. It was racist to ask for ID when it came to voting, but it's now not racist to ask for ID when it comes to going into the grocery store.
Well, for that matter, those of us in rural Nebraska, rural areas, don't have access to that stuff, so we shouldn't be. We have a hard time getting IDs too.
I have an ID. I found out how to get the ID. What I lack the capacity is to make a photocopy of it. There's no Kinko's anymore, and I don't know how to make photocopies because I don't have access to Kinko's.
You can't go to the library because you don't have your ID.
Right. And it's harder to get a library card than a gun, so those library cards must be very, very few and far between. So how am I supposed to print there?
I got one right here.
There's a coin shortage, so I can't pay 10 cents a copy. I'm going to have to go ahead and make 10 copies so I can use my whole dollar bill because they can't give me change. We just got a pickle here. I wish that people just had access to the internet and Kinko's or Office Max or some other copying place. I wish that rural people had printers in their own house. I got one here, but don't tell anybody because apparently I'm not supposed to have it. But again, the issue with all that is not the issue. The issue I have isn't the fact that they are requiring a vaccination to go into a building. The issue I have is that you don't have that kind of authority. It might make sense. And if an individual business wants to post a sign that says don't come in if you're not vaccinated, they have that right. It's their business. They reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. That's okay. But when the mayor says every building, I don't care if you agree with it or not, you're going to have to ask people to show their vaccination cards at the door. I mean, if I was a business owner, I'd tell him to pack sand. If I was a business patron, I'd tell him to pack sand. And I don't know what I would do if I lived in New York City right now, because I still have not gotten the vaccine either. And the issue I have isn't because I think it's poison. It isn't because I think it's the mark of the beast or that there's a microchip in it or anything else like that. The issue that I have is I have seen zero proof that vaccine can make my body do something that the virus couldn't make it do when I had it. And so that's why I don't have the vaccine. I had the virus. I've got the antibodies. If I don't have the antibodies anymore, because it's been almost a year, but if I get the virus, guess what? My body's got the blueprint. Those antibodies will come very quickly. And I've heard nothing but bad things from the people that have gotten the vaccination. So I haven't had anybody tell me, oh, I got it and it was great and I loved it and I haven't had any problems. Never heard that story yet. Probably those people are out there. But the issue that I have with the vaccine isn't about the vaccine. It's, again, being told that you take this or else. The issue I have with wearing a mask isn't the mask itself. It's being told, put this on or else. It's also being told, get the vaccine or else. Now that you've got the vaccine, put the mask on or else, because the vaccine doesn't stop what the mask can stop, or the mask doesn't stop what the vaccine can stop, or the vaccine, I don't know. None of it makes sense, because if the vaccine worked, you wouldn't need a mask. And if the mask worked, you wouldn't need a vaccine. And if any of it worked, I'd be dead.
You kind of sounded like Biden there, confused for a second.
Right? Well, I mean, I did that intentionally, tried to make it sound confusing, because it's a pile of crap.
Yeah.
But I promise I have not picked any pudding or boogers or whatever off my chin and eaten them on camera. So I don't think you guys would let me know if I did that, right?
Okay, if you start
Absolutely.
sniffing small children, we're out. I'm gone.
Well,
We
like,
tell,
okay,
we tell you after about 5 minutes after we stop laughing, but yeah.
now, Pat, I just want to know, and I realize this is probably going to sound a little creepy to begin with, but I just want to know, like, at what age do children stop being sniffable? Because when you hold a newborn baby and you hug that baby and they smell like baby lotion and baby shampoo and just like baby, that's a great smell to take in. And I love smelling baby. So, like, is it 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old? When is it creepy when you sniff the child? I just want to know. I'm curious.
Okay, when you hold political office and you're over the age of 65 to 70 and you're sniffing 8 to 9 years olds and enjoying it on camera, then I've got a problem with it.
Okay. I just wanted the clarification. I won't have to worry about it for another 23 years. And if that's only if I'm in office, so we're good then. I've always wondered that when people talk about sniffing kids. Well, babies are sniffable and they smell great
I will give everybody a pass on that one.
until they spit up and they smell like nasty cottage cheese milk, and then no, they don't smell great.
Or when their poop is green. Yeah, that's usually bad.
That too.
Then I don't want to be anywhere near that kid.
Right.
Here's the kid. It's poop.
We've got some comments out there too that I need to catch up on. Clint had a good one out there. I find anti-gunners are too caught up in emotion and are lacking an ability to think critically, let alone an ability to see the big picture. And then Pat, you had said right below that there needs to be a class in high school on critical thinking, which I agree with. And Clint said they've done everything possible to remove critical thinking from school. It makes better useful idiots to follow the government without it. And I agree. I agree with that. You remember back when we were all young and our teachers still worked on teaching us how to think? But because what I'm seeing now, it's pretty apparent that schools have gone away from teaching the students how to think and have just started teaching them what to think, which also is very scary. The issue that I have with what's being taught in schools isn't the subject matter necessarily itself. Sex education, I think, needs to be taught. I don't think it needs to be taught to kindergartners, first graders, fifth graders. I think that there needs to be a period of time where kids can just be kids and not know about things like sex. And yes, I understand sometimes kids are exposed to things they shouldn't be at a very early, tender age, and that is a tragedy. That does not mean it's okay to expose every kid to a watered down version of some sort of horror just because it's in the guise of sex education. So it's just how I feel about that. It's just what I believe about that. Eric over on Facebook was saying, with federal government leaving military weapons in the hands of the Taliban, they have no business banning anything we have here legally. I agree with that too, Eric. Very, very good point. Hey, Gunpowder's out there. What's up, Jesse? Let's see. There were some other comments out there. Sam said anyone with half a brain can get a library card. I don't know. I heard it's easier to get a gun than that, and sometimes getting the gun is very hard. Carolina EDC Reviews has a really good comment that I wanted to talk about for a second. And I'm not trying to blast you, Carolina, but some of this stuff I'm not sure I read it right. So I'm going to reread this here out loud just like having a driver's license to drive on the roads that you already paid for to drive on, or having insurance should be an option and not be penalized for not having it. It is our right to have. And then the next comment below said, what we want is our right to have what we want. If my license is recognized in any states, then my CCW should be the same. Now, the huge difference, the glaring difference between the two situations is that we do not have the right to drive on a road. We do not have the right to drive a motor vehicle. We do not have the right to a driver's license. We do not have the right to anything to do with cars or automobiles or airplanes. We do have the right to keep and bear arms. The Constitution said so. The first thing that you learn in driver's ed class, and one of the first things I believe the driver's manual states, at least in Nebraska, is that driving is a privilege. That's why we have points. That's why some of us try to not have points, because points are bad on a license. But you get too many points, your driving privileges are revoked, right? You should not have any restrictions on your right to keep and bear arms. Driving is, maybe it's just because it's a pet peeve of mine, but I really cringe whenever I hear somebody try to use driver's license reciprocity as an argument for concealed carry reciprocity. But then I've voiced this before. I have a very unpopular opinion on concealed carry reciprocity. And again, the issue isn't the issue there. The issue that the unpopular opinion I have is that concealed carry permits should not have nationwide reciprocity. Not something that is put forth by the federal government anyway. If the states want to agree to unilateral reciprocity and all 50 states agree to abide by it, then I'm all for it. If the federal government wants to say that concealed carry permits are unconstitutional and ban them in all 50 states, then I'm all for that. But the federal government does not have any place telling the state what permit it has to recognize. The federal government did that with driver's licenses, but again, that's a privilege that people don't have a right to be on the roads anyway. So you have a right to be on the road, but you don't have the right to operate a motor vehicle. That's just, you do have it's public right of way. So you can be out there, you can run, hike, whatever you want to, as long as you're not being dangerous about it or being you're endangering yourself, but you don't have the right to operate a motor vehicle. I think that you should have the right to concealed carry anywhere you want, in any building you want, any time you want, any place you want, in any state that you want, all 50 states in the union. I think that if we got away from that, we'd be a lot safer, but I just don't think it's the federal government's place to say that my Nebraska permit should be valid in California. I think that is a huge infringement on California's rights as a sovereign state. And I just use California as an example, but I don't think that the federal government should be able to tell California to honor my permit. I don't think that the federal government should tell Nebraska to honor California permits either. I think the federal government should either stay the heck out of what's not their business, or if anything, repeal the NFA, but also the federal government should state that concealed carry laws are just unconstitutional, and requirements for permitting, I should say, is unconstitutional, that everybody should just be able to carry. So I know some people want to be the gatekeeper. Some people want to say, yeah, but what about this guy? Do you want him carrying a gun? Okay, so how do you know that guy's not already carrying a gun? It's just breaking the law to do it. What difference does it make? The people that shoot up schools, concerts, nightclubs, they're already criminals. They're already breaking the law. So what difference does it make if there's a law that says they can't carry something concealed? What difference does it make if there's a law that says they can't have an AR-15 with a pistol upper? What difference does it make if there's a law that says they can't have a sawed-off 12 gauge? What difference does any of that make? It hasn't stopped a criminal ever. No law has ever stopped a criminal. That's what criminals are. people that don't follow the laws. Laws have only ever stopped the law abiding. The issue is not the issue. The issue isn't with the permit. The issue is with whose place is it to say that in the first place. Kind of got off on a tangent, but anyway, I'm going to let you guys weigh in on all of my rant just now.
Kind of a tough one, man. I want to take it back to Australia real quick. I just wanted to say something. You know, they get one Delta variant confirmed case in their country, and then they put the entire country on lockdown. And I'm thinking, you guys are an island. Just don't let anybody else in. Enforce your social distancing rules, but just keep living life like you normally do. You don't have to sit here and do a mandatory, you know, whatever it is, 4 weeks of everybody at home or 2 weeks at home and shut down everything again and make kids have to go to Zoom school and stuff. I mean, my God, man, that's just a terrible amount of power that somebody has to do that.
Yep, absolutely true. All right. Gary, Defense Dad, Pat, anything you guys want to add to any of that?
I don't know. As far as the concealed carry, first off, I don't think you should have to have a permit to carry no matter what. But I do think that if you're gonna have a permit in one state, they should be legal in all states.
Yeah, I mean, and I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that one, and I wish that there was. I wish that my permit was good in all states, but again, if that's the case, then why not just say permits aren't required? I mean, it's already a felon to possess a firearm. Or excuse me, if you're a felon, it's prohibited to possess a firearm. So, you know, if you've not committed any crimes, then I just don't think that it is constitutional to pick and choose who gets to carry a firearm and whether or not their shirt or their coat can cover it up. You are innocent until proven guilty, and if you've not been accused or convicted of committing a crime, then you shouldn't have your rights taken away.
Yeah, I feel if you've passed the level of background check you have to get a concealed carry permit, you should be able to travel from East Coast to West Coast, from the north of the country to the south of the country without worrying about crossing a state line and becoming a felon just because you have a permit and you're carrying.
I agree. 100% agree with that.
So, and I see what you're saying about the government stepping in, but there's parts of it I agree with and parts that I don't agree with it, and that's okay. We have difference of opinions.
But again, like, the issue is not the issue there. My issue is with the federal government flexing muscle that they don't have the authority to flex. It's not the federal government's place to dictate to the states what they have to do as far as honoring other states' issued permits for anything. I mean, if the federal government is going to start doing that, then are they going to say that you passed the bar exam in one state, you're a member of the bar in every state? If you've got your cosmetology license in Kansas, then it's okay to operate in Missouri or Nebraska without having to get licensed in those states because your permit should have reciprocity in all 50 states, right? State licensing has its place. They do have reasons for doing such a thing. So we either need to get rid of all licenses or we need to say the federal government doesn't have that authority. And that's the real issue. My issue is not with the reciprocity. I 100% want my permit to be good in all 50 states. I 100% want to not need a permit in all 50 states. I just want the ability to carry that the federal government already says I have. Recognizes that I have.
That part I agree with. Like I said, I don't think you should have to have a permit in the first place.
Right.
But in the real world, if you're going to have a permit, I think that permit should cover the entire country because we're not just a resident of our state, we're a resident of our country. So while I agree, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to have a permit, it shouldn't be different state to state. It should be United States.
But then it should be a federally issued permit.
That's what I'm saying. But
in which case, again, I mean, what if the federal government stepped in and said, we will issue the permits now? No state can issue a permit. States don't have the right. Because if the federal government can tell the states that they have to honor a permit, they can also tell the states that they can't honor a permit. If that's the case, and the federal government says, we will issue the permits from now on, we'll ask the questions, thank you. and they want universal background checks, and they want to know, as part of the permitting process, they put in place that you have to tell them what firearms you own and where you store them. I mean, that
Yeah,
can
no,
go
I
bad very, very quickly.
Yeah, I
So
totally get that.
I totally, and I don't disagree with what you said, which is what 99% of the people that I've had this discussion with say. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying that my opinion is the other end, that the federal government doesn't have that authority, shouldn't have that authority, shouldn't ever have that kind of authority over the state's sovereignty. And in that case, the smarter move would be to remove permitting altogether, or requiring a permit altogether, and make 50 states have permitless carry.
But
That
can I add something to that, though?
do.
The problem with each individual state having their little idiosyncrasies, which they do. I mean, and I understand states' right to a point, but for crying out loud, when you get to the point where if your GPS takes you the wrong direction, or if for some reason your route is, you've got a detour that takes you into another state for like 30 seconds or something like that, and oh my God, you ended up driving through a state that has a 10-round magazine restriction, you're going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Or you've got the wrong type of hollow point bullets in your gun, you're a felon now. I mean, just because you crossed a state line or something like that, and it's to the point where it takes a lawyer to keep track of what you do once you leave your state. Sometimes even a city, depending on what state you're in. And how is anybody supposed to keep track? There's no freedom to travel. There's no freedom for nothing if we let all these little individual entities make their own little rules like that. So there's got to be some way of regulating it.
Yeah, that's part of what I was getting at, because like, you can, if you forget to stop your vehicle and pull over and unload your magazines or put different kind of ammo in, you by crossing a state line, you can make yourself a felon without even knowing it. So yeah, it's
I agree, but if we had nationwide reciprocity for carry permits, would that include reciprocity for magazines and ammo? If my magazine's good in Nebraska, it should be good in New Jersey.
Well, and so I don't know. That's part of where the debate
in New Jersey who can't have it there, but I can.
Yeah, that's part of where it gets true, because that's where I don't want.
Right.
I'll partly agree with you. I don't want. Well, what I'm saying is I'll partly agree with you, because then I don't want the federal government saying that, because if they do make one rule for the whole country, it's going to be a lot more restrictive than a lot of us are used to.
The most restrictive of any of the states.
Like, we live in a state where we can drive down the highway or the interstate or the town, or your town you're in, with a loaded long gun just sitting in your seat. I mean, the overstep would probably make it worse, but I don't know. You could argue this debate for hours, dude.
We could, and we've kind of gotten off subject, but I kind of want to keep this going here because it's been a great discussion. And look, we're all being grown-ups about it. I appreciate you guys. If national reciprocity was going to actually do any good, wouldn't it have to come with national preemption? And not even every state has preemption. We don't have statewide preemption. We have Omaha that can make laws that are more restrictive than the rest of Nebraska. Lincoln has done the same thing. And we've tried to put in statewide preemption, and it's been struck down in committee. I don't think it's even made it to the floor ever in our state government. So how do you do that then? You've got reciprocity, but then it's still on you to know if you're crossing a state line or not. And it's on you to know what laws are different in that state. So magazine restrictions, ammo restrictions, anything like that, I mean, that's still going to be in place. That's the case now. You need to know the differences. You need to know what stoplights you can turn right on red and what stoplights you can't. Right? I mean, you still have to know all that stuff, even with things that are good across state lines. So it still behooves you to know the laws of every state that you go to. And if
Well,
that's the case, I still think that we should. I'm not saying that you guys are wrong. I'm saying that it's not enough. We should not push for nationwide reciprocity. We should not push for the federal government to have more power. We should push for the federal government to say that requiring a permit for concealed carry is unconstitutional. For any carry, concealed or open, requiring a permit to carry is unconstitutional. The federal government needs to enforce its own laws before we give it more power to enforce laws that aren't in the Constitution or are blatantly unconstitutional. I'm not going to push for concealed carry reciprocity when the Constitution says I have the right to keep and bear arms, and it doesn't say anything about as long as the grip is exposed. So that's really what I'm trying to say is we've been going about this the wrong way for too long, talking about concealed carry reciprocity, when I think it's dangerous for the federal government to have that much power. We should start pushing for what we actually want. No more NFA, no more permits required to carry. And why shouldn't we get that? Why should we have to compromise all the time? Why should we have to always take it in the shorts when they're trying for sweeping bans? They don't get them either, but why shouldn't we push? Why shouldn't we push for the end zone instead of being happy with a 3-yard gain all the time, which is always what we're pushing for? Well, if we can get 3 yards every down, then we're going to move the sticks. We'll get that first down, and eventually we can work towards the touchdown. Why not go for the Hail Mary once in a while and see what we can get? Maybe we'll get an easy 6 points. You never know. I just think that that's something that as gun owners in America and as citizens that we've been so accustomed to getting things taken away from us little by little. And if we do get a victory, it's a tiny little victory. And it's been that way for so long. We've gotten conditioned to not even think about pushing for something big. And I think we should. I don't see why we can't. I don't see why we can't make that something that we talk about more. I don't see why we can't try and have conversations where we explain to people what makes the most sense and why people are safer if you don't know who can carry, or you don't know who's carrying, because anybody could be carrying. We wouldn't have mass shootings nearly as often if we didn't have gun-free zones. The statistics show that one. So why don't we push to repeal gun-free zones? I understand that there are potentials for bad people to do bad things, but they're already there and they're already doing them. So why not level the playing field and at least give us a chance to fight back in some of those places? Why not say that Travis has a chance to save the kids in his classroom instead of getting in front of them and being the first one killed, and then he's not even alive to protect them anymore? That's the only option Travis gets right now in school. I think it's crap. So Ghost out there says, being honest, and I know I've been running my mouth and not reading all the comments. Pat, thanks for the super chat. Great chat tonight. Love the gun community, the 2A community, and the right to disagree with each other. I love the generosity. Thank you, sir. Midnight Range. Pancake Boys out there. Other Travis. You may get reciprocity, but only if the states can make their own rules. Otherwise, not all the states would go for it. I agree. Ghost says that national reciprocity has nothing to do with ammo restrictions. You still have to follow the state's restrictions, and it's our personal responsibility to know where you are and what the current laws are. I agree. Gunpowder says, thank goodness for Google Maps telling me when I enter a state. I know, driving through Omaha up to the airport, there's a tiny little slice of Iowa that you drive through, and I call my my Google Maps, I call it Mabel, and Mabel always tells me that I've gotten to Iowa. Let's see. And Ghost also says, let's be honest, NFA is never going away. It's a great dream, but it's not going away. I agree. But at the same time, I refuse to accept the fact that it's impossible. I will definitely agree with improbable, but I don't think that it's not a worthy. It may be lofty, but I don't think it's not a worthy goal at some point when we've got people, not necessarily politicians, but we've got moms in red T-shirts that are saying ultimately they'd want to get rid of every firearm in the country, and that is their ultimate goal. Why not? Why not have the ultimate goal of getting rid of every firearm law in the country, except for the one that says the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? I don't think it's a bad goal. I don't think it would ever actually be attainable, but I don't think that we could say never. And if I ever changed my mind on that, that would mean I gave up all hope, and that would mean that I would be worthless in the fight. So I have to have that hope. I have to have that belief, or else I admit defeat, and I won't do that either. So partly that's just my psychology on the deal. But Sam says, remove all restrictions for law-abiding citizens, including stocks, magazine capacity, suppressors, and fully automatic. I totally agree. Again, if you've not been convicted of a crime, you should not lose your rights. But we also can't conflate rights with privileges. So be careful when we have that discussion. We talk about being able to drive a car. There's no constitutional amendment. There's no law anywhere in any state that says you have that right. You do not have the right to drive a car. Nobody does. I don't have that right. I have that privilege. And because I obey the traffic laws, I don't think I have any points on my license right now. I've done some stuff in the past, but I think all the points are off of there. So I've got my privileges, but I haven't broken any laws. Therefore, I should have the right, again, to carry any firearm I want, anywhere I want, as long as I don't use it to break a law. Then I've not committed a crime. There shouldn't be a crime. It shouldn't be a crime to just to possess something and not do anything bad with it. So it's just how I feel about that. All right. We've kind of definitely gotten off of the topic at hand. So let's try and maybe go back there and give you guys a chance to do a little more talking there. What other examples are there out there in the world where we say the issue's not the issue? And then, I mean, what are the examples, and what's the real underlying issue behind the front issue that people are talking about?
I'm kind of
Anything
curious
else
if
come
we're
to
going to
mind?
see some. I'm kind of curious if we're going to see, maybe not to get away from the idea of guns and stuff, but like with just our vehicles in general. There's going to be this.
No, it's
big
okay to
push
get away
back.
from guns on the issue's never the issue.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's just like it seems like it could be one thing, and then that attitude spreads over to just everything in our lives. Well, you don't need that bed to sleep on because it's made from hazardous materials, or you don't need that vehicle that burns gas. You can just walk. That's what it's about.
Yeah, we don't need to take airplanes. We'll just build trains.
Yeah.
Well, you
Exactly.
want to go total tinfoil hat. The issue is not the issue. Masks and COVID.
Yeah, let's go back to masks and COVID.
So
I think we should cover that here.
Magically, the science keeps changing every so often, and those science changes also coincide with fluctuations in the economy. People recently seemed like everything was going better, so now you didn't have to have mask restraints. People felt more free to do what they want, and then magically also the Delta variant now is making it more dangerous again. We got to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
I get that COVID-19 is a legit disease, but I think I'm not the only one who thinks they have taken advantage of it to initiate control in the country.
I definitely would agree with that.
Because they want to tell us where we can go, how we can, or when we can go, how we can do about it, and it's all a bunch of crap.
Yeah, and it goes back to they don't have that authority. They don't get to tell us who we can talk to, where we can go, The individual businesses have that authority. It's their business. I get that part. I agree. The federal government, state government, city government, county government, they don't have that kind of power. They shouldn't. What was it? Scotland is considering just permanently keeping their emergency powers in place.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
it
think
defeats
about
the
this.
purpose of
Yeah.
emergency powers, doesn't it?
Think about this part of it. So they said they came out and finally said, well, yeah, if you get vaccinated, you can be safe. Don't have to wear the mask, and and so a lot of people their employers forced them to without coming out and say you have to. They basically made it a situation where people had to make a choice, either not have their job or get vaccinated. And once you get vaccinated, you're safe. And now magically people who got talked into getting the shot when they didn't really want to or didn't really believe it, but it was either that or lose their job. And before anybody says that, I don't care what most people say. Yes, you could quit your job if that's the case, but most people aren't in that position to do that. So you have all these people that did something basically against their will now, and now they're being forced to wear the mask again. So that's a big issue of control.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, anybody in that position who opted to get the vaccine so that they could take the mask off just so they could go through a workday and breathe is now being told that they still can't breathe. So I would think there'd be a lot of remorse. Why did I bother getting the shot if I'm right back to where I was anyway? And the only reason I got the shot was to get this thing off my face. I would, if that happened to me, I'd be very, very upset. I'd be telling everybody about it. So
I think you're starting to see that in the
the
parents too, man. The parents with their kids wearing masks, they're getting fed up, and now teachers are getting wailed on because parents are taking their frustrations out on the educators who are just following the policy that they're told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the educators need to push back a little bit at those parents and say, I wish you were on the school board so you could make these better decisions. Not to cut you off there, Travis, but
no, I mean it's true. I wish,
as a
I wish more
teacher, you
parents
don't get a choice.
I wish more parents had the time or could just simply get involved and change the things they're upset about, whether it's the curriculum that they don't like or the viewpoints being pushed in a particular class or in a subject area. I mean, it's just
those of you with school age kids,
what's that?
Those people out there with school age kids, if they have a complaint about what's going on in the school. But if you have that complaint, parents, but you weren't at the school board meeting and haven't made time to go down regularly and be a pain in the butt of the school board to where every board member knows who you are and dreads seeing you coming, if you haven't done that, then quit your bitching, shut up, and just take it, because you haven't done anything to make it better. So all you want to do is whine. I know that's not a lot of you. A lot of you are working to make things better for your kids. A lot of you have opted not to send your kid to the school that makes them wear the mask. You've opted to keep them home, do whatever. Kudos to you. But those of you parents who don't like it but won't do anything about it and can't take time out of your schedule to go to the school board meeting and talk to the people that do have control over whether or not your kid breathes, then I don't want to hear it from you. And the teachers like Travis, I guarantee, are fed up with hearing it. I won't make you say it, Travis, but I'll say it on behalf of teachers everywhere. Shut up, go to the school board and get it fixed, or shut up. So
no, and don't get me wrong, I know that there are parents that have tried to go through the school boards and they live in districts where it doesn't matter because it hasn't changed anything. But again, you can't quit. If you really want to have your taxpayer, you have a right to share your concerns. Nobody
can say that those parents didn't try. They might not have won, but they tried. They went there. And again, if you don't get it done in one meeting, go to two. If you don't get it done in two meetings, keep going. Make yourself a thorn in the board's side, because eventually the squeaky wheel will get the grease. Get on the board. Put good people on the school board. Learn who the people are that are running for the school board when you have elections. Check them out. Find out if you can trust them to make decisions for your children. Absolutely. That should be done. We're finding out now more than ever that the presidential election is a big deal. that the congressional, the House and the Senate elections are a big deal. The governor is a bigger deal. The county commissioners, the mayors, the school board are a bigger deal yet, because people are now learning what kind of power local government has, whether it is to restrict or to deny the restrictions, right? And to say, we're not going to do that. And you can't make us, Mr. Governor. You can't make us, Madam Mayor, whatever is the case. I mean, people are learning what kind of power different levels of government actually have and don't have. And sometimes the governments need to be put back into check and be reminded that they don't have that kind of authority. And if they don't like it, that's fine. Replace them. Run yourself or find somebody to do it. That's the hardest part, right? It's really hard to find people worthy of that seat sometimes. But I mean, we need to encourage people. You need to encourage your friends, your neighbors, people that you know and trust. Encourage them to go run. Or do it yourself and see how many people would encourage you. But yeah, the mask thing, the vaccination thing, terrible issues. And it's not the mask that I have the problem with, because there are places that I go that I don't like to wear it, but I'm sure not going to complain. We were in UNMC, University of Nebraska Medical Center, on Monday. Very happy to say also, speaking of which, that we got a clean PET scan. There are no pets living inside Sandhills, sweetheart. No lymphoma. That's all gone. So that's awesome. Now she just needs to rebuild her body that got beat down with chemo and everything else. But and she can start her immunizations too. So that's awesome. But yeah, the lymphoma's gone, so we're happy about that. But you had to wear a mask in there. It's a hospital, right? It's full of sick people. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I'm hard pressed to believe that we'll ever stop wearing masks in hospitals moving forward. I just think that that's a place where you probably should, no matter who you are, no matter what sickness you have. It's nothing to do with COVID, but if you've got the flu or you've got a head cold, then you probably shouldn't be spewing droplets. So it would make sense to wear the mask there, not in school, not in church, not at the grocery store, not at an outdoor sporting event. That doesn't make sense. It's not about the mask. It's about being told that you have to do something by people that don't have control over you and shouldn't have that kind of control over you. It's all about control, right? Everything's about control, no matter what debate we're talking about. Guns, masks. It's all about control. Real quick here, a little bit of current events, and I know I try to keep these topics kind of broad so that they're always kind of relevant. But this is Thursday. Over the weekend, we saw a lot of U.S. forces pull out of Afghanistan. A lot of people are upset with how that's going right now. First and foremost, again, the issue is not that we're leaving. I don't know of anybody that thinks that we still need to be there after 20 years of really not gaining a lot of ground. I think it was past time to pull out of Afghanistan. The issue that I have isn't with pulling out of Afghanistan. It's the way that it's happening. It's the stuff we're leaving behind to the Taliban, the vehicles, the aerial drones, who knows what that we haven't heard about yet. What did I just read here? I need to fact check it, but I believe somebody said that the Taliban now has more helicopters than 130 nations on the planet. And so, and they're Blackhawks. They're good helicopters. Although I also saw a post that said the only saving grace is how much those things break down. So I don't know about any of that. I don't have experience, but maybe it's bittersweet. But just the fact that we left all that stuff, we left a whole bunch of personnel, and not only military personnel, but just a lot of Americans that are in country that have nothing to do with the military. Yeah, my voice is gonna go. We're gonna wrap up pretty quick. Yeah, but the issue that I have and the thought that I have, again, it could be the tinfoil hat. Mine's right up here. It's fancy. It's got a chin strap. You guys have seen it. I had this thought here yesterday or today. It kind of makes me think, with all of the scrambling now to evacuate more Americans out of Afghanistan, does anybody else think maybe that it's not a botched plan? It's not that they have a terrible plan moving forward to get everybody out. I think it's that they originally had no plan whatsoever, no intent to get everybody out. I think they were going to pull out as quietly as they could and get as many people out as they could at one shot, and then the rest of them, I think they were going to hang them out to dry. That's just my thought, and I don't expect anybody else to necessarily agree with my brain's ramblings here, but just food for thought for everybody. Do you think that the reason why we look like a monkey mountain of football right now is because they had to come up with a plan in the last couple days, because they found out the American people found out about how this was happening, got very upset very quickly, and now they're like, hey guys, we ought to probably get everybody else out. We should probably draw up a real quick plan on getting everybody else out. Anybody think that that's possible, that maybe that wasn't the original plan? Have I been distrusting my government for so long that the tinfoil hat's starting to get to me? What do you guys think on that?
I think it's probably possible, but whether that's the way it happened or not, leaving 15,000 Americans stranded over there is just wrong. I don't care how you look at it.
I agree. It's wrong. Absolutely. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they planned this whole time to get everybody out. But again, they sure have fallen flat on their face in the execution of their plan.
Well, think about this too. Like it's more about the people that left over there. But you talked about like the helicopters, for example. So now you got people over there who probably don't know how to fly them, but all they have to learn is well enough to get it up in the air in a country that's known for car bombs. Now you got a helicopter bomb. They don't even know how to land it.
Yeah,
they're just going to load it up with explosives, and now you got a helicopter bomb,
right? Like that. Really, it's an old joke and it's in bad taste. But can you teach me how to fly a plane? I don't need to know how to land it.
Well, I mean, in all reality,
can you teach me how to fly a Black Hawk? I don't need to know how to land it. I just need to know how to get it off the ground and get it where I want it.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but that was a thought that jumped into my brain, and you guys know sometimes my brain goes on weird side roads and leads me to weird thoughts. So that was one that I had.
I wish Ghost was on here to get his opinion on that, because he's got military experience.
I know. Ghost, are you still out there? Do you want to jump in and talk to us for a second? Otherwise, we'll probably wrap up if we don't hear from Ghost here in a second. So, and my voice is going to go. So I either need somebody else to take over and talk, or I got to wrap this up because I got to keep taking a drink here. So, real quick, let me again
say something real quick, dude.
Okay, go ahead.
With ITAR rules, we're not supposed to export gun parts to countries or whatever, foreign countries. Anytime you buy Magpul stuff, it's like, oh, there's ITAR exportation rules. Yep. I think the federal government just broke the ITAR rules on themselves by leaving all that stuff over there, all those SAW machine guns and tanks, and I'm not even talking. I'm just talking about the stuff that he just dumped and left. Plus the 1,000-person army of commandos that are supposed to defend the people against the Taliban. I don't know how long they're really going to last, but that's going to become probably possession of the Taliban too. So yeah, it's
all the people that got told in country, if you help us, we'll keep you safe, that just got dumped there.
Yep.
I mean, those were the people that were trying to climb on top of that C-17 that we all saw the video of, or crawling on the landing gear, whatever it was. I mean, those are all people that would rather take their chance holding on to an airplane and freezing to death or whatever, or getting blown off of there at 30,000 feet, still a better outcome than the Taliban coming and finding them and, having to watch your whole family get raped and executed before they shoot you.
Yeah,
And
question.
so-
Where's our allies in the Mideast helping us out now, helping us get our people out of there? Why don't we have Turkey flying in airplanes and helicopters and extracts and getting them safe passage?
Where are our allies? Our allies are all looking at us going, where did you guys go? Britain didn't have a plan to pull out. None of those other countries had a plan to pull out. Now our allies are looking at us like, we just up and left the party and didn't even say goodbye, left them to clean it up. Whereas our allies, they're trying to get their own people out now, and they're trying to deal with the mess that we made.
Yeah, because Britain and Australia are still over there trying to get their people out after we pulled out.
Right.
They're still working on
it.
it.
And we took our umbrella with us, and now they're trying to get everybody out without getting, rained on or whatever. And the big umbrella is gone. So it's like, hey, everybody, let's, grab what you can and let's go. So no, it's a cluster, that's for sure. But again, it was mismanaged. The plan was terrible. If there was one, it was terrible. And the execution of the plan, I think, was even worse. It's terrible, just terrible. So, and I haven't heard about all the equipment that got left. I do know that some of the unmanned drones were left there, and a lot of the vehicles. And I've seen some videos of just, shelves and shelves in a hangar of firearms and gear and whatnot. My question is, some of the success that our people over there had in the mountains was being able to operate at night because they could see, because they had good NVGs. And the Taliban didn't have any, or didn't have very many for night vision. So did we leave them anything like that? Did we give them power at night now too, and take away, if we ever do have to send people back into those mountains, have we kind of hamstrung them from being able to operate at all now? I don't know. I'd like to know. If anybody knows that info, let me know. All right, I'm going to wrap this up because I can't keep talking tonight. It's going to get worse, and I don't want everybody listening to have to hear me cough and clear my throat the rest of the night. So, again, real quick, we want to thank our sponsor for bringing us live on YouTube and Facebook. Today's show is brought to you by Garrett Keel at Open Country Firearms in Osmond, Nebraska. Garrett's goal with Open Country was to create a great storefront and assist responsible gun owners in new and used purchases, custom orders, transfers, and more. He's always been an advocate for the Second Amendment and thought opening his own gun store would be an excellent way to help shooters get what they want and connect with new people. Call Garrett at 402-841-0970 or visit opencountryfirearms.com for some of the best deals on new and used firearms, ammunition, and now suppressors. And tell him we sent you. So thanks, Open Country, for bringing us live to the masses. We go live every Thursday night now to tens of people, hoping to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. So real quick, we'll let everybody just go through and wrap everything up and say anything that you guys wanted to say that you didn't get a chance to. And again, before we do, I just want to say that I appreciate all four of you in the panel and all of you out there commenting, even though I didn't get all of your comments read and didn't put all of them on the screen maybe that I ought to have. But thank you guys for keeping it live out there in the chat on the YouTube side. Facebook, I saw a couple of you out there, excuse me, making some comments. But we'll just go around here and let everybody say their piece real quick, and then any plugs that you want to make on where people can find you. So Gary, we'll start with you. Any closing thoughts, things you didn't get to say, and then how can people catch up with you and hear what you have to say on a regular basis?
Oh, there's lots of things I didn't say, but you're not going to run an 8-hour show tonight. So
you just need to come in here more often and say them.
There you go. You say the issue is never the issue, but if your issue tomorrow night is that you don't have anything to do and you really, really would like to have some chicken, maybe you should check out Foul Territory on my channel. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central, where we have fun, friends, family, firearms, and freedom. I mean,
That's a lot of
necessarily
fun
in
F
that
words.
order. A lot of F words there, but they're safe F words.
They're good
And
F
we
words.
also have a winner chicken dinner. You can win free stuff. We can talk the 2A and gun topics. And then you can show off some of the stuff you have if you want to. We'll put your pictures on the air. We'll have fun for a couple hours. We'd love to have everybody there. So
Can I listen while I'm eating chicken?
you sure can.
Will it give you a
can.
complex? Will it cause any issues if I'm eating chicken while I'm watching Foul Territory?
I got my channel name because I was eating gizzards, so no, it's not
Okay.
going to cause any issues with me whatsoever. Thanks for
I
having
didn't
me.
know if that was cannibalism or not, or if that
No, sir.
qualified.
Not at all.
All right. Thanks for being here, Gary. Yeah, go check out Foul Territory tomorrow night. Always a fun time, and Gary's a good guy. Don't tell him I said that, but I like him. Oh, you're still here. Pat, you're up next. Any final thoughts you wanted to say, and then where can people find you? Not where your bunker is. Don't disclose that.
No. That'll never be disclosed. All they know is it's somewhere in the central United States. That's all they need to know.
387 miles underground. I know that much. So,
yes, that's pretty dang close. Close enough for hand shoes, horseshoes, hand grenades, and sometimes dancing. Anyway, just wanted to say thanks for having me on tonight. Yeah, it was great chat tonight. And even though we did have a Kansan in here, but we won't hold that against him. So anyway, sorry, Gizzard, still love you. Anyway, yeah, you can find me at Pat Hirsch on YouTube. Actually, I just did a Wednesday night rant about what we were just talking a little bit ago. So it's just one guy's thoughts and his opinions. So take it for what it's worth. So yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, John.
you betcha. I got a little bit of that listened to today, but I need to finish it. But yeah, good stuff. I like the Wednesday night rants. Sometimes that's what these Thursday night shows turn into. Is I rant, you guys all just kind of sit back and wonder if I'm going to let you talk. But that's kind of the format just to begin with Pat. He just kind of dispenses with the panel and just says, you know what, I'm just going to talk.
Yeah, well, hopefully here in the near future, hopefully I can get a panel together of disgruntled Americans, and we can all blow off a little bit of steam.
There you go. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun talking about the world's problems and how to fix them. So we need to do another grumpy old man chat in here and do the same thing.
Yep, that sounds
all
good.
Right. Pat, thanks for being here. Defense Dad, you're up next.
Oh, thanks for having me tonight. Thanks for letting me ramble a little bit.
Yeah.
As far as where to find me, I'm on YouTube. I haven't really done a whole lot lately. We're in the busy time of the year for me. I've been getting one day off a week, and that's taken up doing chores, not videos. But that'll calm down here a little bit. I got a bunch of stuff I need to film and put out.
All right. Well, thank you for being here. And thank you for voicing your opinion, even if it's different than the host. That's always okay.
Fair
as long
enough.
as we can be grown-ups about it, then it's okay. So, in fact, I think it's good. I think people are more likely to watch two of us who disagree on something and we can be grown-ups about it, but we each state our case. I think that more people are likely to watch that or want to watch that than me saying something and all of you guys just, agreeing and saying, yep, you said it right. If that's the case, I wouldn't need a panel.
The thing about it is we don't 100% disagree. We disagree on nuances of what we're
right,
saying.
and it's nitpicky stuff. We're still same team.
Yep.
And at the end of the night, I mean, you know that, and I know that, and I'd still trust you to have my back in a foxhole. So
yeah, that's one thing about the gun community. Wait, we can disagree with each other and still be friends and have like debates and conversations
for the most part.
Yeah.
Sometimes we still eat our own, but for the most part,
unless you try to tell me to go buy a scythe, then you're dead to me.
Yeah, could be worse. You could have carried one for 2 years.
Yeah.
Speaking of carrying a sky for 2 years, I'm glad that he never had to trust his life to it.
Ain't that the truth, brother? First of all, guys, everybody here watching tonight, you need to subscribe to Pat, Defense Dad, Gizzard Gary. Sandhills. Okay, they're great channels. You guys check them out. It's a good discussion tonight. It's one of those things that it just, we can't quit fighting, guys. We can't give up. And
Subscribe to him.
are you poking me? What's going on?
Subscribe to him. Subscribe to Travis.
Or you guys, yeah. Everybody else has got good channels too. Make sure you guys check them out. Good content. But I appreciate the invite, and it was a good discussion tonight, man. And I'm glad you're able to hang in there for us there, Sandhills, and you rest up and you get well. Okay.
Oh yeah, yep.
Cool, man.
Big one planned for next week too.
Right on.
Next week we're going to talk about, and again, it's going to get stupid because the world is stupid about some of these things. So I want to talk about what would happen if we acted like them. What would happen if we insisted that the world bend to us because we're offended? I'm offended that you guys don't like guns. I'm offended that you don't carry the same Glock that I do. I'm offended that you don't use the same caliber that I do. We're gonna take it to the extreme and make fun of how people really do act and think that they're serious about this with the things that they're doing. We're gonna take the things to extreme and say, what if we acted like they do and insisted that the world do things the way that we want them to do just because we're triggered or offended or outraged. So that one's going to be fun. You guys have some homework. Be thinking about the ways that they act that are stupid and childish and immature, and how it would be if it was on the other side and we were acting like they do. So let's do it. All right. I think that's it. Again, go to blackswantactical.com. Find the Team Sandhills collection. Get 10% off with the discount code Sandhills. And there's other stuff besides mine out there. Crumpy's got some great stuff, and so do some other people out there. So go check that out. Again, go to anywhere that you can find podcasts, and you can find the audio version of this. So if you tell people that you watch this one and they're like, I don't watch, but I would listen, tell them that's an option. If you are catching this because you're listening, because you don't watch, then please share it with everybody else. And if you're doing it on Apple, please go give us a 5-star review and give us 5 stars and a review, and just tell everybody why you like listening. So oh goodness, sorry, I'm trying not to have my nose run away on camera here. So with that, we're gonna call it a night, and I'm gonna go take some more sinus stuff and get ready for bed. So same sinus cold has hit Sandhills' sweetheart as well. She did go to the doctor today. They did check. It's not COVID. It's just a head cold stuff, but hers is going into her chest. So those of you that pray, please pray that she gets over that quickly, because again, she does have a weakened immune system. So it takes her a little bit longer to fight stuff off. Although it did feel today that when I gave her a hug, she wasn't as warm to the touch. So I think her fever broke. It was never over 100. It was in the 99 range, but she did have a fever the last couple of days, and so she needs to get better, even more so than I need to get better. So please be praying for that. And again, if you're gonna pray, give a little thank you that the pet scan was clean on Monday. So great news there. All right, on behalf of Sandhills' sweetheart and Pat in a bunker and Gizzard Gary, Defense Dad Travis P11, and myself, thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you guys out in the chat for making it what it was tonight. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can go back and watch the live chat replay, even if you're catching this after the fact. And so you can see what was said out there in the chat. And again, drop those comments. If you haven't subscribed to any of our channels, please do. Facebook pages, same thing. Those of us on Facebook. And tell everybody, share it, please. I would love to have more than 17 people, or 9 right now, watching these every night as we're live. So that'd be great. I'd like it if the comments got so busy that I couldn't keep up with them, and we just kind of had to cherry pick. Every now and then I'd see one because they slowed down. So thanks everybody. Go check out opencountryfirearms.com, sdrn.us. Everybody on the panel. I think that's it. It's time. Get off my